The Roman Empire didn't fall to barbarians. It melted, literally melted, in government furnaces, where emperors turned real silver coins into fake silver coins over and over until the metal was worth less than the lies stamped on its surface. By 270 AD, a Roman silver coin contained 5% silver and 95% broken promises. Prices exploded by 1,000%. Soldiers stopped fighting. Bakers stopped baking. The greatest empire in human history collapsed because someone thought they could cheat math. And here's the kicker. We're doing it again, right now. We just use fancier words like quantitative easing and expanding the monetary base. But the furnace, still burning, the lies, still stamped on the surface. We've learned nothing. This is the story of how Rome proved that you can't print your way to prosperity, a lesson we're apparently determined to relearn the hard way. Picture Rome around 200 AD. You're standing at the center of the world, an empire stretching from the Scottish highlands to the Sahara Desert. 60 million people. Roads so well built they're still standing today. Aqueducts, amphitheaters, a legal system that modern lawyers still study. But here's what the history books don't emphasize. Rome was broke. Not struggling to balance the budget broke. Catastrophically broke. The problem was simple. Running an empire is expensive. You need legions, 30 of them, stationed from Mesopotamia to Germania, each soldier expecting his pay in actual silver coins you can hold, bite, spend. You need grain shipments to keep the mob in Rome fed and happy. You need roads, forts, bureaucrats, and an ever-growing pension system for retired soldiers who did their 25 years and now want their reward. And where does this money come from? Taxes and conquest. But by 200 AD, Rome had conquered everything worth conquering. The empire had reached its natural borders. No more gold-filled barbarian kingdoms to plunder. The wagon trains stopped arriving. The revenue stream had dried up, but the expenses? Those kept growing. The emperors faced a choice: cut spending, raise taxes, or find a third option. One man found a third option: meet Septimius Severus, emperor from 193 to 211 AD. Career soldier. Rose through the ranks the hard way. Competent, pragmatic, and absolutely ruthless. On his deathbed, his advice to his sons was, enrich the soldiers and scorn all other men. Severus understood power better than anyone. The throne doesn't belong to the man with the best bloodline. It belongs to the man the legions will kill for. And legions kill for silver, actual silver coins they can jingle in their purses. Severus looked at the treasury, empty shelves where silver ingots should be stacked. He looked at the borders. No more barbarians rich enough to invade. He looked at the tax collectors. Already bleeding, the province is white. So he looked at the coins themselves. The denarius, Rome's silver currency. For centuries, it had been the most trusted coin in the world. Standardized weight, pure silver, government guaranteed. When a merchant in Alexandria accepted a denarius from a merchant in Londinium, he didn't need to weigh it or test it. The stamp of Rome was enough. Severus had a dangerous thought. What if we took those coins, melted them down, mixed in some cheap bronze, and restamped them as denarii? We'd have twice as many coins to pay the soldiers. The weight would be close enough. The stamp would look the same. And by the time anyone figured it out, we'd have solved our short-term problem. It was counterfeiting. Except when the emperor does it, it's called reforming the currency. Severus reduced the silver content from 90% to 50%, half the silver, same stamp, same value. The trap was set. Here's how the scheme worked. You're a Roman soldier stationed in Germania. Cold frontier. dangerous work. Every month you receive your pay, 100 denarii. You take those heavy coins to the market and buy bread, oil, meat. The baker accepts your coins because he trusts the stamp of Rome. Those coins contain silver, real silver. That's the deal. The baker uses those same coins to buy grain from a farmer. The farmer uses them to pay taxes to Rome. The coins circulate. The economy runs. Everyone trusts the metal. Now Severus takes those 100 denarii and melts them in the imperial mint. The silver puddles in the crucible. He adds bronze, cheap, abundant bronze. He pours the mixture into molds and stamps out 200 new coins. Half the silver content, double the quantity. He pays the soldiers with these new coins, still stamped Denarius, still claiming to be silver. The soldiers march to the market. At first, nothing changes. The coins look right. They have the emperor's face, they have the eagle. They're stamped by Rome. But the baker isn't stupid. He picks up a coin, lighter than it should be. He bites it, yes, people bit coins, and it feels softer. He scratches it and sees bronze underneath. Something's wrong. But what can he do? Refuse imperial currency? That's treason. Question the emperor? That's a death sentence. So the baker does the rational thing. He doesn't refuse the coins. He just charges more of them. Bread that cost 1 denarius now costs 2, then 3. The stack of coins needed to buy a loaf grows taller than the loaf itself. The soldier who thought he got a raise because his coin purse is heavier suddenly can't afford dinner. This is inflation. Not the abstract kind you read about in textbooks. The physical kind, where you need a bag of coins to buy what 1 coin used to get you. And once it starts, it feeds on itself. Severus died in 211 AD. His successors inherited his brilliant solution and his terrible problem. Because here's the thing about debasing currency. It works. Once. The first emperor who does it gets more coins to spend. But the second emperor faces higher prices and needs to debase even more to keep up. The third emperor debases even more. It's a race to the bottom. The silver content in the denarius dropped like a stone thrown off a cliff. 50% silver under Severus, then 40%, then 30%, then 20%. By the time Emperor Gallienus took power in 253 AD, the silver denarius was 5% silver and 95% junk metal. A coin that had been pure silver for centuries was now a bronze disc with silver makeup. But the government kept stamping them with the same denominations. Laws required citizens to accept them at face value. The emperor said they were worth 100 asses, so legally they were worth 100 asses. The market disagreed. And when the market disagrees with the government, the market wins. Slowly, painfully, but it wins. People started hoarding the old coins, the real ones, the ones that still had silver. They buried them in clay jars. They melted them down and hid the silver. Economists call this Gresham's law. Bad money drives out good. It's not complicated. If you have 2 coins with the same legal value but different real values, you spend the worthless one and hide the valuable one. By 270 AD, you couldn't find a pure silver coin anywhere in the empire. They'd all been hoarded or melted. Only the government's counterfeit coins remained in circulation. Prices went vertical. Wheat that cost half a denarius in 200 AD cost 50 denarii in 270 AD, 100 times more expensive, not because wheat became scarce, because the coins became worthless. The pile of coins needed to buy a sack of grain became heavier than the grain. The soldiers noticed first. You're a legionary on Hadrian's Wall. Brutal posting. Rain, fog, hostile tribes across the border. But you signed up for 25 years because the pay was good. Real silver. Enough to retire on. Enough to buy land and live like a Roman citizen. Your monthly pay arrives. A leather pouch full of coins. You pour them out. They clink onto the table. Light. Too light. You pick one up and scratch it. Bronze underneath. You walk to the Fort Tavern. The owner looks at your coins and laughs. You think I'm trading wine for those? This is the moment empires die. Not in epic battles. In taverns, when soldiers realize the money they're bleeding for is worthless. Mutinies exploded across the empire. Legions refused to march. They demanded payment in gold, in land, in anything but the government's fake coins. Between 235 and 284 AD, Rome had over 50 emperors. Most reigned for months. Most were murdered by their own soldiers. Because when you can't pay the army stops calling you emperor and starts calling you the problem. Trade collapsed. Why would a grain merchant in Egypt ship wheat to Rome if payment came in worthless bronze? He wouldn't. So cities starved. Tax collection collapsed. Provinces paid their taxes in debased coins, the same worthless coins the government had printed. Rome received back its own garbage. The snake was eating its tail. Emperor Diocletian, desperate to stop the bleeding, issued the edict on maximum prices in 301 AD, a law fixing the price of everything: bread, wine, haircuts, shoes, all capped by imperial decree. Violators would be executed. Spoiler, it didn't work. Price controls never work. Merchants simply stopped selling. Why trade bread at a loss? Better to eat it yourself. Better to barter in secret. The official markets vanished. The black market exploded. The most sophisticated economy in the ancient world reverted to people trading chickens for sandals in alleyways. By 300 AD, Rome's currency was dead. The empire limped on for another century, but it was already a corpse. The barbarians didn't conquer Rome. They scavenged it. Now let's talk about today. In 1907, the United States severed the last link between the dollar and gold. Since then, the Federal Reserve has had the ability to create dollars without any physical constraint. Not by melting coins. We're past that. We use computers. We call it different names: quantitative easing, expanding the balance sheet, accommodative monetary policy. But the mechanism is identical. Since 2008, the money supply has increased by over 400%. Trillions of dollars created, not printed on paper, just typed into existence. Used to buy bonds, rescue banks, fund stimulus programs. And the result? Predictable. Asset prices exploded. Houses, stocks, anything scarce skyrocketed because people realized the dollars in their bank accounts were melting in value. The pile of dollars needed to buy a house grew faster than wages ever could. We now have two types of money in America: real assets, property, gold, stocks, and currency, dollars losing purchasing power. And just like Rome, people are hoarding the real assets and spending the currency. The all-volunteer military? Struggling to recruit. Young people are doing the math. A salary that buys less every year in exchange for risking your life? The Denarius problem all over again. The difference between Rome and now is scale. Rome's debasement took 70 years to destroy the empire. We've been at this for 50 years. And unlike Rome, our currency isn't just one empire's problem. The dollar is the global reserve currency. Every central bank holds it. Every commodity is priced in it. When it fails, the entire interconnected financial system fails with it. Rome fell slowly, province by province. When the dollar goes, it'll be everywhere at once. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Rome didn't collapse because emperors were stupid. They were smart. They understood exactly what they were doing. They were buying time, solving today's crisis with tomorrow's disaster. The math didn't care about their intentions. The math just waited. You can pass laws. You can stamp coins with eagles and emperors. You can declare by imperial decree that bronze is silver. You can execute merchants who raise prices. You can print, debase, inflate, and deny. But eventually, reality asserts itself. The merchant stops selling. The soldier stops fighting. The citizen stops believing. And the empire built on fake money collapses into real chaos. Every civilization learns this lesson, and every civilization forgets it, because the temptation is irresistible. When you're in power and you need money now for war, for welfare, for re-election, the printing press is right there. Easy, immediate. The consequences won't arrive until you're gone. Severus made a bet. He could debase the currency just a little, and the empire would survive long enough for it to be someone else's problem. He was right. He died peacefully. His sons inherited the consequences. The Roman emperors kicked the crisis down the road for 70 years. Then the road ended. So here we are, 2,000 years later. Different technology, same mechanism. Our coins don't have emperors' faces anymore. They have dead presidents. Our furnaces are digital. Our debasement is measured in trillions, not percentages. But the math is identical. Rome fell because emperors believed they could print prosperity. We're running the same experiment. The variables are different. The equation is the same. History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. And right now, it's rhyming loud. The only question is whether you'll be holding real assets or melting currency when the music stops. If you want to watch history rhyme in real time, hit subscribe. Because here at Papermint, we're tracking every cycle, every scheme, every civilization that thought this time would be different. It never is.